Don't be fooled. This is not a serious exercise. This is a political stunt. This hearing is being called for one reason and one reason only: to protect Donald Trump.
It is really troubling that Americans' taxpayers' dollars are being used to come here on this junket to do an examination of the safest big city in America.
Well, there you have it right there. Welcome into the safest big city in America, New York City. That designation, conveniently the exclusive opinion of Democrats, by the way. New York Congressman Jerry Nadler, and as you just heard, Mayor Eric Adams, while the House GOP held a field hearing in Jerry Nadler's district yesterday to highlight the rise in violent crime in New York and defend Donald Trump from what he says is a politically motivated prosecution. Joining us now for more, Wisconsin Congressman and member of the Judiciary Committee, Tom Tiffany, back with us. Good to see you, sir. You were in the room yesterday. Does a hearing like what we saw yesterday have an impact beyond yesterday?
I actually believe it does, Rob. It was a powerful hearing. When you hear those people who are victims of crime, you think about Mrs. Brame and Mrs. Harrison, hearing their story about how their loved ones were killed in New York City, and there's been no justice. It was a powerful hearing. And, Democrats tried to shift this all to Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump. And I understand why they would want to do this, because this is a serious problem in New York City and cities across America. And to highlight it in the way we did, I was quite honestly a little bit skeptical going into it. Were we going to have the impact that we should? It was a powerful hearing, probably the most powerful judiciary hearing that I've seen in the time that I've been on judiciary.
Yeah, that's interesting. What I thought was fascinating was the emotion. You mentioned Mrs. Brame. I want to play you a soundbite. It wasn't chippy. This was real, raw, visceral emotion. This is Mrs. Brame arguing with Democratic Congressman Dan Goldman.
As soon as he took office, the case immediately began to unravel. He completely dismissed, gang assault and murder indictments against two of the defendants clearly on video participating in the brutal, savage slaughter of my son. Can I respond
New York
to
City,
you, please?
No, not right now, because I only have 20 seconds. I'm sorry. But I do want to
Don't insult my intelligence. You're trying to insult me like I'm not aware of what's going on here. That's why I walked away from the plantation of the Democratic Party.
Wow, Democrats were on their heels the whole morning, sir. Take us through that.
Yeah, it started from the very beginning. And I thought it was also, so Mrs. Brame, you saw it there, just the raw, visceral emotion of having a loved one killed and not having justice. But think about Supervisor Holden from New York City, a self-proclaimed Democrat who said he not only does his constituents not feel safe, but his family no longer feels safe. And he was decrying about the thousands of New Yorkers that have left town. They will not stay any longer to witness this crime and perhaps be subject to that crime. So it was witness after witness talking about what happens when you have a district attorney that will not prosecute crime.
Okay, so the AP, and this was the Democratic line yesterday. We heard from Eric Adams and Jerry Nadler calling New York one of the safest cities in the country. Sorry, the safest city in America. The AP saying Monday's hearing is the latest salvo in Jim Jordan's week-long effort to use his congressional powers to defend Donald Trump from what he says is a politically motivated prosecution. Is there more to that? Is there at least something to that?
This is one of the things we do. What are the big problems Americans face at this point? I would say the high cost of living. We no longer are energy independent, and we have a border that is unsecured with millions of people coming across that southern border illegally. And I think the fourth thing you add in there is crime. We're the Judiciary Committee. If we have a crime problem in America, shouldn't we be highlighting it? And I closed my speech yesterday, my presentation, by saying, let's next go to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Okay, we started in New York City, and you can decry that as just politics. You heard the witnesses there saying, yes, this is a huge problem in New York City, these soft on crime prosecutors. Well, we've got one in Wisconsin, also in Milwaukee. Let's go there next. Just as Speaker McCarthy said from the very start, I want you committees to get out on the road and see the American people. Don't just do your hearings in Washington, D.C. This was a great place to start in New York City.
Yeah, it was interesting to watch this play out. You could go to Chicago, too, about an hour outside of Milwaukee. You could do, where the Democrats are going to hold their convention, by the way. Congressman Tom Tiffany, good to see you. Thanks for coming on and filling us in on what took place yesterday. We appreciate it.
It's good to join you guys.
All right.